the original Loretta Brown Show, radio to open the heart, heal the soul, awaken the consciousness. Mr. Benny Mathers, are you awake?
I am always awake.
I
don't think I've
that.
ever slept in during the week. I think it's kind of impossible for me.
Yeah. Well, you've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, a little bit,
Yeah.
like 23 years, I think we're going on professionally in the radio business as a morning guy. So I guess I'm kind of used to it. Sure. I mean, I could always adjust. If you like pay me enough to do it, I will. It's that easy.
I like you being the morning guy.
I
It
do
works
too.
for me.
I do
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, me too. I'm kind of like later in the day. I don't know. I got stuff going on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When
I got stuff
before the
going on.
boys were born, they actually, well, they were being baked. They were cooking in the little oven at the time. I used to go to the gym first. So I would get up at like 1:30 and then go to the gym and then shower and then come to the station. So that's early.
Wow. Yeah, that's a completely different 24-hour clock
Yeah,
thing
and
going
mindset
on with you there.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't go to the gym anymore though.
No, you gave that up.
I did.
You're just naturally fit.
Oh, okay. Right, yeah. Oh boy. Better start working on that.
Hey, we're good. We're good here.
We are good.
Yeah, anyway, I like to talk to Benny just a bit because, you've got fans in my listening audience. I always tell you that. And they always send their love. They're like, tell Benny he's the best. And I go, I always do. So,
thank you. Hello, fans, whoever listens, whoever watches.
Yeah, whoever you are, fans, and there you go. So, I'd like to bring him in. So he's part of my equation. And we learned once upon a time that numerologically we're both 11s.
Yes.
And I'm kind of wondering what our Enneagrams are, but we're going to talk to our guest about that. I don't actually know, and we'll find out what that is. So I hope you're interested in that subject. And in the meantime, let me get going on the show here. So we made it to June, and I am the owner of Reiki Oasis, located right here in the greater Seattle area for almost 30 years. And of course, I am Loretta Brown. I do have this month in June, my monthly class for women, the Temple of the Divine Feminine, will be Saturday, June 14th. And you can join us via Zoom or in person. You can find out more about that at schedule.reikioasis.com. And Egypt is happening. I still have, I think, 2 seats left for the trip. It's magical. It's marvelous. It is luxurious. We will be in a private yacht. Yes, our own private yacht floating up and down the Nile River going to the temples. The trip is from September 30 to October 14 with a 5-day magical extension to Petra, Jordan. If you want to know more about that, please send an email to reikioasis@gmail.com. and just ask me about the trip, and I'll send you all the information. We'd love to get you in on it. It is, like I said, it's going to be very, very special. I keep announcing it, but, Egypt is revealing some of her secrets to us, and we're definitely going to be part of that. I also have some other things that are going to be coming up. Another retreat that will be for 12 women only, and then I've got some training and some things going on behind the scenes. I'm sort of hired some people to help rebrand me and get my stuff out there. So just keep watching for that, and I'll announce it when it's available. As far as astrology goes, welcome to June 2025, a month guiding us toward clarity and inner light. I love that. We had a 66-hour geomagnetic storm this week, the longest since 2017, fueled by solar winds and plasma waves. And Earth's energy field is buzzing with new possibilities. Maybe you've been buzzing too. As we stabilize, powerful Schumann resonance spikes are rewiring us at a deep level, aligning us with our higher paths. Anybody out there listening? Have you been feeling tired? Have you been feeling a little bit wonky? Maybe you're feeling better. I hope so. But June is a magical turning point. It's powerful, powerful month. We have the 6-6 portal coming up. I think that's tomorrow on June 6th. It's an ascension portal that opens new paths. And Jupiter shifts into Cancer on June 29th and begins a year of heart-centered growth. We've been waiting for this shift. This is the second wave of 2025's upgrades because, like I said, we are going to have the 6-6, but then we're going to have the 7-7. That's on the 7th month, the 7th day. And then we're going to have the Lionsgate portal on the 8th, and old beliefs, old habits might be starting to fade away. Sometimes they suddenly fall away. Sometimes it's emotional. But this clearing always brings peace and alignment. You know, when we clear things out, we make room for things to come in. So my advice is rest when you need to. You know, do energy work. Reiki is a great thing. And do meditations, set gentle boundaries, trust the process. You're not alone. On June 8th, Mercury enters Cancer, which will soften our words with heart. So we might be able to speak more kindly to each other. A good time to write down your dreams or say, like I said, loving, kind things to those people around you. And it's a perfect time to speak your truth until June 28th. On June 11th, we have a Sagittarius full moon coming in with a fiery energy, joined by Eris, 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 the goddess of bold change. This moon is going to reveal hidden truths and spark adventure. So, like I said, this month we've got the 6-6 portal aligns with Venus in Taurus, inviting joy through simple pleasures like a cozy meal or a starlit walk. It's kind of romantic. And it's basically that tomorrow could be date night, could be date weekend, who knows? June 15th, Jupiter squares Saturn. It's a push to balance our big dreams with practical steps. Oh, I love that one. I dream big, and then, you know, sometimes I can't get to it because I'm squirrely. And then, oh, if something's going to come in that's going to actually help me do the steps, I look forward to that. On June 24th, the sun meets Jupiter, Big Daddy Jupiter, in Cancer with the sun there. It's going to really light things up, and it's going to just light up your bold visions, your dreams. It might be a time for you to really, really, you know, like dust yourself off and go, yeah, it's time. I kind of got a common theme going here this morning. It's time to do it. And June 25th, we have a new moon in Cancer tied to Jupiter again, planting seeds for love and safety. So set a heartfelt goal for the month ahead. I would be neglectful, or if I didn't mention, also we have the summer solstice this month, which marks a shift in light energy. And it's time to honor both joy and challenges like two sides of a coin. This solstice will reset your inner compass, connecting you and guiding you deeper to your soul's purpose. And isn't that what everybody's wanting? I've got so many clients coming to me talking about the tug on their heart or some sort of deep desire for this connection with who they are, what they came to do, and they want to do it and they want to have fun. I think we're all kind of in that same place. So overall, June is a great month. It's going to invite you to let go of what weighs you down, embrace your inner spark, connect to nature, get outside, put your feet on the earth, dream big, breathe deeply. And this month, you're going to feel lighter, more peaceful, and ready to shine. And in that beautiful energy, I've got a lovely guest. I'm going to welcome Reverend Nhien Vuong to the show. And excuse my voice, it keeps clogging up. She is not only an internationally accredited Enneagram expert and a master teacher of inner transformation, she is also a bridge between worlds. A graduate of Stanford Law School, an ordained spiritual unity minister, Nhien marries intellectual rigor with profound spiritual wisdom. She was born in wartime Vietnam and raised in the United States, and brings to her work a deep understanding of resilience, compassion, and belonging. She's the founder of Evolving Enneagram and author of The Enneagram of the Soul, a 10-day spiritual companion for the 9 types. And she offers a sacred map for us. So welcome to the show. It's really great to have you here.
It's amazing to be here. I just love listening to you. I'm like, oh, do I have to talk? I'm like, I can keep listening.
We gotta hook it all up. I want to show the people watching. This is your beautiful book, The Enneagram of the Soul. And you have 9 little circles here. Might have something to do with 9, and it might. We're going to have you talk about it. But I would love for our audience to get to know you a little bit better. How did you get into this work with the Enneagram?
Oh, well, so it was it was a pretty conflictual weekend in which I left my husband and my law job in the same weekend. And I was like, okay,
What?
yeah, I know. It was a tumultuous weekend.
You
And
just got up and said, okay, that's it.
basically, I was like, oh, because I thought, gosh, Nhien, you think you're smart, and you're hardworking, but you can't seem to figure this life thing out. Like, this is not working for you. And I was so miserable in just like every area of my life. So I went to the bookstore and just got like a stack of books, basically. And one of those books was an Enneagram book. And that's how I discovered the Enneagram. Yeah. In a time of massive transition.
Oh, listen here, girlfriend. I like Loretta's like, what? When did that happen?
2002.
Okay, so a few years back.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
been a while. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I always like to kind of compare notes a little bit, not only astrologically, but there was a lot going on back at that time. I kind of went through a big transition myself during that time that is not about me today, but I'm just paying attention to parallel
Mm,
experiences. That's interesting.
yeah.
So you got to the point where you said, no, this is not it.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
just this idea that like I thought I could figure out my life. And what I didn't know and what the Enneagram helped me to see is that the Enneagram really points to like the lens through which you see the world, but you don't see that lens. So it's like, oh, this is the way the world operates. And based on this assumption, I'm going to show up this way. Right. And so the Enneagram names this lens and so helps you to see more clearly what's actually there. And for me, that lens was that there was something wrong with me and that I needed to
Oh,
fix this thing. And if I just worked hard enough, if I tried hard enough, if I, used all of my mental faculties, read every self-help book and, like I would figure it out. And I just couldn't, right? And so, yes, the Enneagram began a journey where I was able to heal and come into wholeness in a way that no other like self-help material had ever supported me in doing. Yeah.
I want to know more about that. First of all, what is the Enneagram,
Mm.
right? Let's kind of lay a little groundwork for people listening. And then the second question I'll have, and I can come back to this because, I'm just coming up with these questions. Um, what makes your approach to the Enneagram different than others? And I want you to go more into how it really helps, how it helped you, right?
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
great. So what is the Enneagram? A lot of people know
Mm.
the Enneagram as a personality typology. And so that is actually just like skimming the surface of what the Enneagram actually is. The Enneagram itself, the word Ennea means 9, and gram comes from the Greek that means, that's gramos, that basically means like object. So 9-pointed object. So literally, that's what the Enneagram is, a circle with 9 points around it, lines connecting all of those dots. So that symbol dates back to ancient times, and no one really knows the origin of it. But how the Enneagram became
Hmm.
popular is that so Gurdjieff, who brought the Enneagram to the modern world, calls it like a symbol of everything. Like this idea that this symbol represents like the entirety of consciousness, this realm of consciousness. And then in our modern day, we're very interested in personality. So modern teachers have overlaid this personality framework onto this ancient symbol. Yes, so that's how we know it in modern day. But the idea and how I use it is, oh, if consciousness, if like this circle represents my wholeness, the entirety of my being, the dynamism of my being, and then the personality aspect of it points to how I, as this infinite radiant being, have identified as this one egoic separate self. By naming that, I can actually then enter through personality into the portal of soul, right? So it's like I realize that what I thought was me is actually just the personality framework, and in a way imprisons like my wholeness. So that's the way I use the Enneagram. But we begin with personality because it's like the doorway, it's the portal in. Yeah.
I love what you're saying. I was looking in your book here because you've got a diagram here. I went, some people may be familiar with the nine-pointed Enneagram picture and some not. So for those that are watching on YouTube or someplace, you can see that here. And you can also just kind of look it up. But I'm fascinated with your statement that nobody really knows where it came from. And it's nine-pointed and it's faceted. It's multifaceted, is what I got from what you said. So this lens that we look through that we don't see.
Yes. Yes. I mean, there's so many ways of framing that. Yeah,
Yeah.
but this idea that awakening is about awakening to what's already there, to reality as it is. And I happen to believe that the nature of reality is wholeness, is love. Yeah, yeah. So awakening to love, not a bad deal. So yeah.
You and Venus this weekend. I just listening. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, no, just it's just that this idea that we hold on to this sense of self. Out of this desperation, we defend the sense of self, like I'm only this, I'm a powerful person, or I'm a successful person, or I'm a wise person, whatever it is, thinking we're clinging to something beneficial. And the idea is that we recognize when we die to this identity, this limited identity, we actually open up to our true spiritual identity. And so we're grounded in this larger wholeness, connected to a more like an expansive love and beingness. Yeah.
So does the Enneagram then, I'm just getting this visual of, okay, so we have this nine-pointed figure, kind of a nine-pointed star, sort of. But when you're talking, my visual and my intuitive screen is moving, it's rotating. So are we shifting our lens of how we look at ourselves or how we look at the world? Is that one of the, I'm going to say, benefits of this work, this Enneagram work? Because I do want to get into you really do this different than anyone else I've read. I love it. So anyway, I'll try to calm down. So if you could just answer that question.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, and that's the short answer.
Okay.
Yes, but first it's about recognizing around the circle of the Enneagram based on your personality point, based on your orientation, if you will, that you come with a set of limiting beliefs. So again, it's like we don't realize we're seeing life through a lens of our limited beliefs. But once we do realize it, then we can break free from that. Then we start to see more expansively. Yeah, yeah.
So how do we break free from that?
So that's where
Then,
contemplative practices comes in.
okay.
So in the book, what I combine is Enneagram wisdom with contemplative practice, because it's the idea that you can look at the Enneagram like it's a map. It's a map of consciousness, it's a map of awakening, but the map can't take you on the journey, right? And so contemplative practices for me is offers a pathway for that awakening, whereas the Enneagram offers like a guide for like what we can expect on the journey, and also, our gifts as well as the pitfalls of our particular persona or personality type. Yeah. So, and when I say contemplative practices, that can mean a lot of things.
Yes.
What I really like to focus on, first of all, being interspiritual, I really tried to offer something that was available to people without religious dogma. So a spirituality that was accessible as an invitation to the direct experience of wholeness, of unity, and of love. And so even the first contemplative practice I offer is one that is a, really a silent meditation practice. But the idea is that if we go into the silence, we recognize that there are patterns, habits of attention based on our personality. So understanding the way the personality pulls us away, says, oh, well, this is not productive time, or this, I need to be strategizing or worrying about my future, that there are certain actually habits of mind that the Enneagram can name that can help me when I know that, oh, that's just my egoic structure acting up. I can allow that to go and drop into the silence. And the idea for me behind the silence is, while I don't demonize anything, not even the personality, it's the idea that the personality has more hold. It has a habit or default. It has more hold on my everyday existence than I may realize. But when I keep letting go, like that instinct to, oh no, do something now, be productive. Oh, add some value. That's the way my egoic structure works. And if I drop down and allow myself to enter into the silence over and over again, I'm actually then building a different muscle, the muscle of release, the muscle of opening. And if we believe that spirit or allness is love, is truth, then what I'm actually making space for in that silence is for that truth to emerge as a felt experience within me.
Ah,
Not just an
yes.
idea, but a lived experience.
Yes. Wow. I'm just saying yes. I'm following you. I can feel it. And I actually believe that if we do need to experience it, a lot of people have head knowledge, or a lot of people, like even myself in the past, was like, oh, Enneagram. Okay, what's my Enneagram? And I think I took a test a long time ago and read something, and then I didn't know what to do with it, right? A lot of people do that, like a personality test, and then they'll read it and they'll go, oh, I'm a 3 or I'm a 9 or something. And so, okay, that's blah, blah. That defines it. But your book, and even the way you're talking, is taking me someplace completely different with this whole idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was my hope, that people have had such a limited understanding of the Enneagram. The great news is that it's become super popular these
Mhm.
days. And the bad news about that is the dilution of the teaching into caricatures of self or stereotypes of self, where people are either very fascinated with, ooh, look, I'm this type, therefore I'm this way and that way. And then I'm actually getting more and more locked into this egoic structure of like, this is how I am. Or the reverse, like you, like, how is this relevant to like my spiritual awakening or my connection to source? Because it just seems like it's putting me into this another box of living, right? Another
Yeah.
role or identity. And so that whole idea, I quote from Russ Hudson in my book. He's,
Yeah.
to me, the number one, scholar, Enneagram scholar in the world, when he says the Enneagram isn't here to put you into the box. It's here to help you see the box in which you already live so you can break free, you know?
I love that. I love that so much. I have so many more questions for you. We're going to take a quick station break, but I want to say something because I really am experiencing this somehow inside my consciousness. And um, years ago, I did Toltec studies, and they talk about the assemblage point. And the assemblage point is some location up here somewhere, and it in order to change your perceptions, you have to move that. It's like moving the lens, right? And so while you're talking, I'm thinking, well, yeah, that's the whole point. If we see the box that we're in, then I think, because I very much believe we're more powerful than we know we are. We're co-creative, and we can take a look at it. Just sort of like when I tell astrology, I always say we're greater than the stars. You do know, like we're not locked in place. And once we see that reflection of self, or we see through that lens, there's a lot of decisions we could make. And also your comment about observing, like observing where I'm at, or this part of me that's here, or I'm doing it this way. And well, maybe that's my ego. Maybe I could just let that fall away and go into that quiet space, which is the space of everything,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, fascinating. I know you have lots more to say. Hold it. We're going to take a quick station break. This is Loretta Brown talking too much with Nhien Vuong, and I'm just excited. Her book, The Enneagram of the Soul, a 40-day spiritual companion for the 9 types. During the break, you can just go buy it, just go get it, go check her out, and we're going to come back and talk a lot more about the Enneagram. Fascinating subject. We'll be right back.
Cool. All clear.
Alternative Talk 1150 is your sports organization's safe bet when it comes to airing your team's games. Our players are all seasoned professionals when it comes to sports programming. Imagine your games being heard on local radio. Your team deserves the MVP treatment. Call 425-653-1150 today to learn how affordable and fun it is to broadcast your games on the radio. Call 425-653-1150 and make your next season something special. That's 425-653-1150.
Did you know that Reiki healing can be done at a distance? It's true. So let Reiki Oasis focus powerful energy to help relieve your stress, grief, sadness, anger, and so much more. Convenient, personalized treatments at a distance can increase lightness of being. During your appointment, find a quiet place to lie down or sit to receive healing energies. If you want help with your dis-ease, visit ReikiOasis.com. Harness life's energy. Visit ReikiOasis.com today.
For 75 years, the Muscular Dystrophy Association's voices have thundered through the halls of Congress.
For 75 years, we've willed the impossible into existence.
For 75 years, the MDA community has pushed the science,
shifted the narrative,
and established the field of neuromuscular medicine.
And until that day, when this is all a thing of the past,
you couldn't stop us if you tried.
Join us and celebrate 75 years of breakthroughs at MDA75.org.
Get inspired every hour right here on Alternative Talk 1150.
Y'all ready to come back? All right, stand by.
Welcome back to the original Loretta Brown Show with my wonderful guest, Reverend Nhien Vuong. And if I said your name wrong, please, you'll correct me. And her beautiful book, The Enneagram of the Soul, a 40-day spiritual companion for the 9 types. And just a reminder that these shows are archived. You can download them for free at the KKNW 1150 AM archives for the original Loretta Brown Show. And we're everywhere. We're live on YouTube. And then we're recorded on YouTube. We're on X, Megaphone, iTunes, Podcast One, Spotify. I don't know. I always leave something out, but you get the idea. Please go and find them. And also, Nhien, what's your website?
Oh, Evolving Enneagram.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's Evolving Enneagrams, plural?
No,
okay.
Singular.
Evolving Enneagram. Okay, great. I want to ask you a question. Can you tell us about your Enneagram? Like, what is your Enneagram? How does the person find out what their Enneagram is? And maybe a short little thing like, what are the 9 Enneagrams? So that's a lot. That'll take a while.
Yes, it is a lot. I'll try to do it justice. So the Enneagram is such a depthful system. Every time I try to, summarize it in 5 or 10 minutes, I'm like, ooh, but I left that out, so I'll do my best, but I'll start with, maybe we can start with what are the personality types and go around the circle.
Yep.
So very briefly, again, so most of the time you will read about Enneagram types based on behavioral descriptions. And so sometimes identify with some and not others. But the whole idea of the Enneagram is it's not based on behavior. It's actually based on motivation. And yes, it's based on your core motivation. 2 people can fix the crooked picture on your wall for very different reasons. And so a lot of mistyping happens, and I will raise my hand to say, like, I mistype myself because the behaviors of 2 different numbers, 1 and 3, can kind of look the same. They can be perfectionistic. They can strive for excellence. They can be hardworking, but for different reasons. And
Oh.
so yeah. And so getting to our root
Uh-huh.
really raw
Hmm.
and vulnerable activity. And most people who, when they discover their type, there are a few who celebrate, but that's part of their personality type. And the others, most of us just like we just felt like someone just peeled off our clothing and we're, just oh, so exposed, but exposed in a good way, right? What we bring to light, we can heal. And so the idea of the Enneagram types being based on that, I want to start with this. So we talked about 9 numbers already. You will see if you read lots of books that you'll see words ascribed to each of them. Like type 1 often is called the perfectionist or the reformer. I want to say this is not in the original Enneagram, but it makes sense that we want to summarize this in a way that people can help remember it. So when you see different books and you see these different names, it's just a brief way to try to summarize the major characteristics we see. So with that, let's go around the circle just really quickly. Type 1 has lost sight of the truth of holy perfection, that everything is perfect fundamentally as it is. So what do type 1s orient toward doing? Trying to make things perfect. This quest to have goodness in the world, to be good, it preoccupies the one, order, goodness. So you'll see that results in ones having a strong inner critic as well as often outer critic. So when you see that behavior, my compassionate view is awe, right? Because it's like, oh, you're so disconnected from that fundamental perfection inherent in all life. So you're trying to make things better, right? Other
Yeah.
people might just fail, and you're really critical, and so that perfectionistic aspect of one comes from that. So, yeah, type 2, again, quickly, is sometimes called the helper or the giver. And so they come from this like false belief that the needs of life are not going to just naturally be met. And how is my need going to be met? I don't know that I'm lovable. So the 2 strategy is in a way giving to get. They don't always know this, but the idea is that if I focus on your needs, if I only focus on your needs, I don't focus on mine, then I will get the love that I need, right? Yeah. And then I get it
Mm-hmm.
why my needs are not getting met,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
understanding from this deeper perspective that you are lovable twos and you deserve to have your needs met. So that's important. For the 3s, I identify as a 3. Oh, and it's embarrassing even calling it. The 3 is called the performer sometimes, and it's so, it's like and so there's this aspect of performance meaning like accomplishment, and understanding that the 3 doesn't believe that I am fundamentally worthy just for being. My being in existence is worthy. I earn worth through my doing, through my accomplishing. And so that's the false belief that the 3 needs to wake up from, to know that, oh, if I am already whole, and that has been the path that I shared a bit about in the book, then if I'm already whole, then I don't need to hustle. I don't need to strive. I don't need to compete in order to get the goods of feeling like I am enough. That there's something in the ground of my own being that has that available. And feel free to pause or stop me at any
Oh,
time.
no, you're doing
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the 4, sometimes called the individualist or the tragic romantic sometimes. So the 4 is a heart type that is disconnected from source in a way that it feels like, oh, I'm longing for something I cannot name. I don't even know what it is, but I'm missing something. So the 4 has this sense of longing and missing, and this related sense of melancholy and a fantasizing about what is needed but not here. And so the 4 can fall into a pattern of, okay, so in order, like there's a sense of feeling abandoned by the universe in that sense of lack. So the strategy is actually of trying to be unique or special. If I'm unique enough, and sometimes even uniquely tragic, you'll see 4s really identify.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that you see that
Yeah.
that somehow that actually will help me to get what I need, to feel a sense of being special enough to never be abandoned is really like behind the 4 strategy. But the idea, again, spiritually, is waking up to the inner knowing that you have never been separate from your source, that you belong even in your uniqueness. And so if you don't have to then carve out the ways that you're different and distinct, there's an ability to live with equanimity in the world, in a sense of inner balance, which 4s don't normally have. 4s tend to be emotional highs and lows. So yeah, but again, attached to that strategy, if I can make life special with my inner drama, if you will. There's a desire to feel that way. Then moving into 5, again, very quickly here. 5s are head types who generally come into the world believing that they are islands, and that they are separate from the knowledge and abundance of the world. So 5s stay back as observers. They're sometimes called the observer or the ivory tower idealist. And in this is need to protect what little they think they have. And so 5s can show up as being very private or guarded with their time or their energy. Again, these are just broad sweeps, because there might be 5s where it's like, I've done a lot of work, I'm showing up. But 5s generally believe that they have to learn more information before they can even show up in the world. They're like, I have to research more. I don't know if I'm capable yet. So they face these issues of researching, and not actually stepping into the messiness of like human life and engaging. Yeah. So the 6 on the Enneagram is called the loyal skeptic sometimes. And the 6 is a fear-based type that is really focused on what could go wrong, with this idea that I am not connected to spirit as the ground of my being. And so I better make sure things will go well. So not all 6s know that they're afraid. Some just say, I'm pragmatic. I worry. It makes sense. I'm realistic is what they think. But you'll notice the 6's energy goes into the future, scanning for possible threats. And so that orientation is there. But again, the seeking for outer security is really about not being connected to spirit as the root and ground of our true stability and security. So the 7 is called the enthusiast on the Enneagram. The 7 is actually a fear type, but doesn't know it because they think they're moving toward fun or excitement or what's interesting or pleasurable. And in fact, when you talk to 7s, they use the word fun a lot. It's sort of, that's fun, that's exciting, so there's this energy that's forward and toward. But the dark side behind it, the sadness behind it, is the reason the 7's always thinking and strategizing for what could be good and interesting and fun and keeping options open, is they don't believe like that there's nurturing here in the present moment. I got to strategize and go after it. Like the good isn't here for me. So 7s can struggle to be right here in the present moment. They'll plan this awesome vacation and then be planning their next vacation while they're on vacation. And so that focus of attention is into the future for positive planning. And then the 8 is called the challenger or the protector sometimes. So the 8, imagine coming into this world believing it's a dog eat dog world. So you got to be tough. You got to be strong to survive. So the 8, even if they're petite, I have an 8 who's like my height, like barely 5'2". And she's like, but she can like and throw me around, and so it doesn't matter like what your genetics are. 8s believe they're tough, and they're like hardy. But imagine if you believe the world is dangerous, you can't let your guard down. So the issue for 8s is actually opening up to that heart tenderness and the vulnerability inside them, their innocence. So that it's not just a fight, that life is not just a fight, which is what the 8 in its personality lens believes. Yeah. And then finally the 9, again, this is such a quick treatment of each, but the 9 is called a peacemaker or a mediator. And the 9 comes into this world generally having a positive outlook on things, but it's almost like the sun is shining. Of course, the sun's shining, the world's made of love. The sun's shining, but just not on me. So the 9 feels separate from the oneness of that love and that light. And so the 9's deep fear or belief is, I don't matter. that I'm not important. So the nine just either just numbs out from life. It's like numbs out from their own agenda, like where they forget themselves. Like, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I need. I fall asleep to myself is what the nines do. And so what it looks like on the outside world is that nines can look really pleasant, but it's kind of like they're just blending in. They're just merging with the couch or with the group or with their significant other and not really taking right action and claiming their individual identity. You know, they fall asleep to that, to themselves as individuals mattering enough to share who they are with the world. So, yeah, so nines dropping in to know holy love at the as the ground of their being begin to recognize, oh, I am important. It's worth it to know what I want and to pursue my dreams. That begins to happen when nines wake up. So there you are.
Wow, I loved you going through that, because I think anybody listening can go, oh yeah, no, that's not me. And then, oh, well, maybe, and or I know someone like that, or something like that. How do we find out our Enneagram? How do we know? How do we figure
Yes,
it out?
yes. So unfortunately, unlike some personality typing systems where you basically answer a few questions and it plugs, the output is here's your type for sure. Uh, the Enneagram, it's more like the art of typing. And so the best way is actually just to read about the types and start to discern. The best way isn't to take an online test. There are teachers out there now putting out their own online tests, everyone trying to say, like, this is the best one.
Yeah.
And, like some people have a strong view, like, don't ever take an online test. I'm in the middle. I'm like, hey, it's probably going to shoot out one of your, like the top three is probably going to be one of your core type, right? But don't just assume that the one at the top is yours if you take an online test. So really discern. And the other thing is really look at the descriptions for the whole of your life. Meaning, don't look at it circumstantially because the Enneagram is such a beautiful dynamic map. We haven't really talked much about this. Once you identify your point, you'll notice there are lines. So those lines actually show you where you go under stress. The three, I'm a three, which is energetic, get stuff done, efficient, has a line to nine. That's the sleepy one we just talked about. So
Yeah.
it's like when I'm in the unhealthy side, I drop to nine, like Friday, I'm dead. Like you're not getting anything out of me. But if I'm intentionally living consciously, yes, then I might be aware that the workaholism of the three is taking over, and I might have choice, conscious choice in engaged rest, where I'm still alert and alive and able to engage the softness of that nine energy's ability to relax in a way that nurtures my soul rather than in a way that's three activity and then boom and I'm out for the count and out of this world, right? And so that's where we can understand. So because of that, if someone doesn't know anything about the Enneagram, they're just taking the test, they might be in a stress moment and they might identify as a nine when they're actually a three because they're living in their stress point right now, right? Maybe during COVID, people might have been mistyping themselves when they're like, oh, right now, this is how I'm showing up. So look at it more of like the trend of my life and even how I was before I started doing inner work, the first 20 years of my life. Like, what are the patterns I see in my blind spots, if you will? Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate that because I'm also looking at this diagram here, this symbol diagram, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, there's a line from the three to the nine to the six and back to the three. And if I look at everything else, there's sort of a, like the lines do connect with other parts. And I was going to ask, does someone stay that, that Enneagram for life? Do they move around? And you just answered that question. Right.
Yes, yes. And
Yes.
what I love is, okay, I want to go back to what you said earlier about the Toltec piece, which is you never leave your there is no master Enneagram teacher alive today who would say that you change your type, meaning the core you don't leave, but the fact that we are not our type, the core of who we are. We tap into points that are part of our humanity, or I even might say divinity. And so we have access to these qualities of being, not when we're stuck in our personality rut, but when we begin to open, we can have access to like the higher qualities around the circle of the Enneagram, right? Whatever is skillful to each moment. Yeah, and the lines help us to see natural patterns in relationships that exist, depending on your core point. Yeah.
Well, and I'm going to read from your book, if that's okay, what you wrote here, because I do want to pull this out a little bit. You write, my primary intent in writing this book is not so much to add to the abundance of wonderful Enneagram teachings, although I hope this book will do some of that, right? My main purpose is to offer a practical Enneagram-informed interspiritual companion guide. I love that. To support fellow wisdom seekers in applying the symbols' remarkable powers to their everyday lives, right?
Yes.
And so there's that map, there is that companion guide. And you know, your subtitle here, a 40-day spiritual companion for the 9 types. So talk to me a little bit about that. Like how should we use this book? Because you have wonderful things, 9 principles, 9 prayers, all kinds of stuff. And then if I just sort of open it up, you know, I can pop it open and, you know, find, you know, changing direction seems to be a theme for Loretta today, right? You know, and do it like that, like you know, like, okay, what's the oracle got to tell me today? But how would you advise us to use this book?
Oh, I have to say, that's one of my favorite ways of reading a book, is just
Okay.
opening to any page. So there is actually a how to use this book section. So you know, if you get the book, you can just jump to that. And it's not very guiding though, because it's basically says anything goes. You know, like I don't want you to be limited. A part of, okay, so let's go back to the term spiritual companion, to spiritually companion. Like, I have a deep belief in everyone's innate wisdom, that there's a trusting of you on your own path. And so to spiritually companion, using a book is to say that, you know, we're going to trust that the divine aspect of you that led you to this moment is also going to guide you to finding the right section of the book and what it means to you. And at the same time, the book's 40-day companion guide, the 40 days are 40 days of activations that, once you know your number, are designed to help you break free of the habit of your type, so that when in any moment it's appropriate to show up in a different way. Like, let's say a type 2 generally feels like they need to be pleasant and ingratiating and, you know, seen as a good person. If there's a moment where the most skillful action for you and your soul is assertiveness, right? But if you're afraid of angering people, right, or even afraid of showing your anger, then you're not going to show up in a way that is probably good for your soul in that moment, right? So what I'm doing is I'm helping 2s and all other numbers go, hey, every day we're going to do stuff that breaks you free from this gravitational pull of your type. And so as you build this muscle, then when you greet each new moment, you greet it with some spaciousness. Your muscles aren't leaning so much in like one direction that you can't go that way if you need to in this moment. So moving from fixation to spiritual freedom is what the 40 days is designed to do. And I'll jump in really quickly because you like numbers. 40 days symbolically, at least from my unity metaphysical tradition, says it's almost like 40 days for me means as long as it takes.
Yeah.
Like, you willing, completion, right? Are you willing to take it to completion? Are you that devoted to your journey? So the symbolism of 40 days is as long as it takes. I care this much to be free, you know? Yeah.
You're already answering this question, but I want to pull in the point. You know, so we live in a very divisive world right now. We've got a lot of stressors out there, if I could say, a lot of different ideas of this, that, and the other thing. And so how can the Enneagram help us to navigate this world in a different way, maybe navigate ourselves? Well, I'll let you answer that.
Well, I mean, this is you're pointing to one of the core reasons I wrote the book. So this is very meaningful to me. So the by opening up to our own wholeness, I found represented by the circle. You could look at the circle of the Enneagram as representing one person. What it's like shadow work, basically. Like, let's say just that in that example I offered, the 2 and the energy of the not of the 8, that is like anger, right? Is that allowed? Do I have space for it? And if I repress my anger, shadow work tells us that it shows up in the world and in my life in unconstructive ways, right? And so this invitation to drop into our own wholeness through this pathway of contemplation type, I found personally in the people that I companion with in everyday life, we found that as we do this inner work, it shows up in our outer worlds where we reconcile and we heal. We stop judging. I actually used to be incredibly judgmental. It's like I think people today are like astounded. But my love is real now. It just naturally happened. I was like, if I could do it, you can do it too. But it's like and again, it's not an efforting doing, but a surrendering kind of doing that suddenly, oh my gosh, the things I've hated, I now love. And our job isn't to love what we already love. I mean, that doesn't add to love in the world. It's love to love what parts of ourselves and our wholeness we don't yet love. And then we find that somehow that my reaction to that showing up in the world is not the same. Like I used to have a reaction to sad, teary people. And as a 3, I didn't realize it's because it's like, it feels like emotions are in the way of life. And now I've come to realize, oh no, emotions are a valuable part of our human life expression. I didn't know that. And then I get triggered by emotional people because I have this tendency to get to work. And I realized I was triggered because if you're down for the count, I believe I have to double down on my work. And so the healing around that gives me space. Oh, I can grieve too. Grieve too. What happens? So
I just love what you're doing, and I love what you're saying. Earlier you said something about, set yourself free, and I think when we set ourselves free, such in your case, you set yourself free from being so hypercritical or hyper judgmental. You also free yourself of doing that to yourself, and it creates a certain generosity of allowing other people to be who they are. That's been my experience of the whole thing. So I just, I greatly recommend your book and you and everything you're doing. And we kind of glossed over it a little bit, and we're down to like the last, minute or two. Very quickly, you for a long time didn't, thought you were a different Enneagram, then you came to the conclusion, and I think you were teaching. I think you tell your story in here.
Internationally, I was already internationally teaching the Enneagram. I'm like, sorry, everyone. Oops. It's such a humbling moment. Yes. And, but I have to say, when I outed myself with my new type, I was impressed by the teachers, the global teachers I knew who held it in such high esteem because of the shared quest for truth, of knowing truth,
I
right?
love that.
Yes. So that was important. And yes, and I think this is another way of saying that if you are new to the Enneagram and this has invited you into this space, that for me, landing on your correct type, the desire to do that, the earnestness toward truth is valuable. But even for me, I realized that the type 1 was a persona, a layer of persona that was important for me to process. Almost like by processing the judgmentalness of the 1, it gave me permission to see myself more clearly. I couldn't even see the ambition that is characteristic of the 3 because because my egoic structure was so damning of it. And so a lot of times when people are looking for their type, I was like, I don't know that you need to know the Enneagram more. it's that you need to apply more compassion, self-inquiry, so that you could see yourself more clearly. But if we were to damn ourselves for what we see, there's no seeing clearly who we are, you know? So,
yeah. I think look at yourself with compassion, right? Just with compassion. So Reverend Nhien Vuong, it's been a blessing and an exciting day for me to talk to you about the Enneagram of the soul. And they can find you at your website, which is
evolvingenneagram.com.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. And we're not in Kansas anymore, apparently. Had to say it. Everybody, enjoy the weekend. Say loving, kind words to everybody. Venus is in her good place. And mwah, have a great, great week. We'll talk to you next time. Mr. Benny Mathers, you are the best.